Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nick, your host for the Omniverse of Nick, and welcome to Part 6 to What If Tatum Riley Survived, or Part 6 to Tatum's Survival, where we're going to be ending off Scream 3 and getting into Scream 4. Now, like always, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and share and comment your favorite part or parts of ongoing or past stories, as well as future recommendations for what-ifs and general discussion. You can see also in the Google Doc in the description of this video and all posts and videos to see this channel's future, and it's a bright one. So, let's end off Scream 3 with Tatum Riley's story right now. With all that said, we ended off last time with Tatum along with Dewey and Gale being chained up whenever Sydney arrives to save them. So the only difference is Tatum is there. So, whenever Sydney reveals her second gun and proceeds to get ready to shoot the ghost face that's in the room with them, she doesn't get to. Another ghost face, just like before, pops out of nowhere and goes in to attack. Derek sacrifices himself and gets in the way of Sydney to protect her and dies in the process. Sydney, feeling rageful and tearful at this, unloads, shooting at the first ghost face, which he manages to avoid, and then getting him in the chest, and then unloading on the other one, putting him to the ground. Mark Kincaid arrives just when all of this happens and sees everything that just transpired and saw a little bit of it before Sydney stopped firing. And Sydney just looks at him with a look of fear, sadness, rage, and just complete and total shock at what's just happened. She just lost Derek. And it's a lot to take in for Sydney right now. But then they all turn their attention to the ghost face, which Sydney actually hit a bunch and put to the ground. Seemingly dead, which he is dead. And the figure, he seems very familiar. Very familiar. But before they can even figure out who this person is, the other ghost face, who was only shot once in the chest, gets up as if nothing happened and kills both of the agents from Scream 2, which Mark Kincaid later would have on his side. But now they're dead, so that doesn't really matter too much, does it? After this, Mark is all down for a fight, and he shoots at the ghost face which did this, which that ghost face just runs off, leading Mark, Dewey, Tatum, and Sydney to all give chase and pursue the ghost face. And with all four of them, this presents a huge advantage, and they're all able to be in the same room coordinately whenever Ghostface locks them all in. Not just Sydney, because things didn't go quite the way he planned this time. He explains who he is, about Maureen, about Sydney, mainly focusing his attention squarely on Sydney, not really caring that the others are around, but still explaining his story. And then he reveals who he is, Roman Bridger, and continues to explain his whole story about Maureen, the past, Sydney being like a half-brother, and all that other stuff. But this doesn't deter anyone, and it just makes them even angrier, including Sydney, who all aim their guns, showing that just because he explained all this and locked him in, they outnumber him, and he's got nothing to do. But Roman presents the reason why he didn't fear them all coming in here. The director, he holds at knife point along with Kenny, and shows he has the leverage. Mark unholsters his weapon and doesn't even do anything. But Tatum and the others aren't so willing to stand down just yet. Tatum wants to know why her and Randy and so many others had to get dragged into this. She almost died, so many others died, Randy died. Sydney, she feels exactly the same way, except she has another question. Who was that other ghost face that was with him? The one that she shot dead on the ground? And Roman, He answers Tatum's question by saying that whatever Billy and Stu, Mrs. Loomis, and all of them did, that was on them. He just presented opportunities and ideas. He directed, making his whole director spiel and all that. But to answer Sydney's question, that's a big question with a pretty easy answer. And the answer is that ghost face that he was associated with and that Sydney shot dead was Mickey Altery, the villain who was arrested in the last film. So a few good years ago. He let him out, bailed him out on account of good directing and opportunity, and felt it a great opportunity to be partnered with him for this case. And even if he's dead now, Mickey presented him with this very leverage right here. He managed to get good, decent people out of the way and made all this lead up to what he's just presented right now. So at all intents and purposes, even if it's not Billy or Stu or things didn't go almost the way he wanted, he's gotten enough. That's good enough for him. And Mark says that even if he is a villain and a killer, he's a freaking mastermind, and Mark can agree with that. Dewey just looks at him like, dude, why are you congratulating him? And he also says that he might have the leverage, but they still outnumber him. Mark switches back to serious mode like that, and says to Roman that even though he's a mastermind beyond reason, they still outnumber him like Dewey said, and he's not going anywhere. But Roman just ignores this and just goes along with his plan as if none of this just happened, kills the director, and then shoves Kenny towards everybody as a show of distraction because he knows that he'd get shot at right whenever he killed the director and Kenny. So he just kills one, pushes Kenny towards the rest, and then escapes throughout his entire mansion, presenting a good opportunity to ambush them separately, depending on where they might find him or end up. Because mansions are hard to move around, and they're easy to get lost in, which was precisely the whole deal with Roman and how he managed this whole thing in the first place. Gale and Kenny showed this opportunity to want to come along for cameras, because who they are and all that other stuff, with everyone else to find Roman, but everyone is just like all kinds of no. Because again, Gale is not really a good character. Not here. She's still like Scream 1 territory jerk, especially with Kenny around. Not just for that, but mainly. So they're left by their van and forced to be out there while Sydney, Dewey, Mark, and Tatum look for Roman. Sydney and Tatum find Roman, and Roman attacks Sydney and begins to get the upper hand on her. But with Tatum around, she is able to help Sydney, and they actually present a good fight against Roman, which would actually be a pretty sick fight, including Tatum versus Roman. Dewey and Mark aren't so lucky. They get walled behind a secret passageway before they can catch up with Sydney and Tatum. But it doesn't matter, because Sydney was able to take care of Roman by herself. With Tatum, it just made it easier. So Roman is taken down, and they share a moment. And Tatum can actually feel for Sydney here, because she knows all too well what it's like to lose someone, especially someone close. So, having this moment, especially with a pretty much half-brother, she completely understands and comforts Sydney in the moment. One of the many good moments where their friendship shows how good Tatum of a friend is to Sydney. So it'd be a good moment for them. Roman tries to do one last hurrah, superhuman killer mode and everything like that, but Dewey and Mark are able to get in right then and shoot him dead. So the threat is over. After that, Dewey and Gale finally get to a heart-to-heart conversation. And even though, unlike canon, they don't get married, they do proceed to have some kind of standpoint in which they want to start a relationship fully. So it's not marriage, but it is something, you know? Tatum finds a new chapter in her book living with the Meeks, Martha and all that, finding a new way to live for herself and get to know Randy's family. Sydney pursues a relationship with Mark, and her canon story with that goes the same, as it would up until the events of Scream 4, with Tatum Riley included. How will Jill Roberts and Charlie's chapter go in towards Tatum being alive and her resolve and being with Martha and all that going on? Will it actually mean that this might be the closing chapter for Tatum Riley? Or do you think that Jill and Charlie are going to bite off more than they can chew? But that's up to you guys. What will happen next? How'd you like this episode? And what's your favorite part so far of this Tatum Riley Scream story? With all that said, be sure as always to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and share and comment your favorite part or parts of ongoing or past stories, as well as future recommendations for what ifs and general discussion. You can also see in the Google Doc in the description of this video and all posts and videos to see this channel's bright future. With all that said, Scream 4 begins next time. We've still got quite a bit of story to cover.